Factory design pattern is one of the most popular design patterns commonly used, but at the same time, it is one of those design patterns uh, people misunderstood very frequently. Anyways, let's discuss few scenarios related to factory design pattern. So, following are the things that I am going to discuss: simple factory, factory method, static factory method. Now keep in mind, whenever we discuss about factory design pattern, I mean factory method. Simple factory, static factory method, these are variations, but these are not the actual factory design pattern. Whenever we talk about factory design pattern, it is the factory method. So what is simple factory? A simple factory is not a design pattern, as I told you earlier. And coming to the point, is a simple factory pattern returns instance classes that have a common parent class or interface and common methods. And here the factory exposes only the superclass or the common interface to the client. So whenever the client is invoking the factory, it passes certain parameters to the factory, and depending on the parameter that is passed, certain class is returned, but these are the subclasses. If we have a common interface, there are different subclasses which are implementing that interface. One of them would be returned in case of simple factory. Now coming to the next thing, that is factory method design pattern. This is the actual design pattern, the important one. The key feature here is usage of inheritance. And here one interface is defined for creating an object, but it lets the subclasses decide which class to instantiate. So it is similar to simple factory. There is a reason why people mix all this together, but there are differentiations. So here also one interface is defined for creating an object, but here the subclasses themselves decide which class to instantiate. And as discussed, factory method lets a class defer instantiation to the subclasses. Point 2 and point 3 are more or less similar. Now coming to static factory method. Here it is entirely different to simple factory or factory method. A class can provide a public static factory method. It's about a static method, which is simply a static method that returns an instance of the class. So instead of using a constructor to create an instance, a class could provide a static method that returns an instance. If this class has subtypes, the static method can return a type of the class or its subtypes. This is also commonly used, this static factory method. I will show you some examples so that it becomes clear to you. And last but not the least, as I mentioned earlier, a static factory method is not the same as the factory method pattern from design patterns. So keep that in mind.